Hello, welcome to another day of Vlogmas. So today we are doing a series kind of update. And we're talking about the series that I've started in 2023 and kind of where I'm at with them. So in 2023, I have started many series. I've got 27 on my list that I'm going to be like talking to you about, but I do just want to kind of clarify a couple of points on here. There are some books that I read this year that, even though they are part of a series, I never intended to read them as part of a series. So for example, there was a graphic novel that I read called Earth 2. It is part of a series, but I read it to fulfill a prompt in the Magical Readathon, which was a book with Earth in the title. I never intended to read any more of that series, so I'm not even counting that as a started series because I have no intention of reading more of it. I never had an intention of reading any more of it. And there's quite a few like that where technically the book is part of a series, but I have zero intention. You know, I didn't read it with any intention to read more of that series, so they don't even count. They're also, I'm not counting books that are part of a series, but book 2 hasn't come out yet. So for example, books that like I might have got in book boxes or something where it's a new release, it is a first in the series, but there is no other book in that series that I could be reading. So I'm also not counting them because again, I'm up to date. I can't do any more than I've read already. So the 27 books that I am discussing today are all ones that I have started these series intending to read more of the series, and that there are like more books available that I could have continued if I wanted to. So I've got these split into 4 categories. I've got the 27 books, does sound like a lot, but okay, so I've split them into 4 categories. I've got the series that I have chosen to DNF, the series that I have made progress in, that I've started and made progress in, the series that I've started and finished, or at least I'm up to date with, and the series where I have read 1 book and that's it, I have read no more than that. So that means that there are a certain amount that of these 27, they're not all still on my TBR, they're not still all series that I'm currently working on, because some have DNF'd, some I've finished or I'm up to date with. But let's go through them. Let's start off with the positive ones. Let's start off with the series that I have started and I've either finished that series or I am up to date with that series. I will say this is as of filming at the end of November. I am planning, and I'm actually starting filming this week, a vlog where I'm reading some final books. So I will potentially be crossing off one of these books these series that I'm mentioning now, but I'm doing this as of filming date right now. So the series that I have started and have also finished / I'm up to date with in 2023. We've got Percy Jackson. So at the beginning of the year, Pris from Pris Peruses started a Percy Jackson read-along. And I really enjoyed the Percy Jackson books, so I started reading them. It's 1 book a month. Read and finished the Percy Jackson series. We've also then got the Heroes of Olympus series, and again, I started reading those ones. Halfway through that series, Pris decided that she was no longer going to be running the Olympian along, but I just decided I was going to continue reading these series myself anyway because I really enjoy them. So I've also started and finished the Heroes of Olympus series by Rick Riordan. I started and am up to date with Fourth Wing by Rebecca Yarros. So obviously Fourth Wing came out in April, I believe. Iron Flame came out in November. I have read them both. I am up to date. In my mind, up to date and finished kind of mean the same thing because there is nothing else I could read. I am at the end of all of the books that are available for me. And then the final series that I have started and finished, finished in 2023, is an odd one. It's 50 Shades of Grey. I read this for a reading vlog and I basically hate-read these books. They are as bad as they're worse than I remember them being. But I started and I finished that series. So that is, hey Bella, that is 4 series that I started in 2023 and I finished in 2023, which I'm happy about. Bella, do you mind? Thank you. I'm then going to go on to the series which I started and have continued reading. So we're starting off with Wheel of Time. So Wheel of Time, I'm taking part in the Wheel of Time Along, hosted by Sandra at Got a Thing for Things. And this one's reading 1 book every other month. It is a 14-book series. I am currently working on book 6. So I've started this series in 2023 and I am currently up to book 6. I am making progress. I'm not going to get it finished this year. I'm not going to get it finished next year either, but I am making progress. Similarly, we've also got First Law by Joe Abercrombie. So this, I'm taking part in the First Law Along for the Catch Up Book Club hosted by Becca at Becca and the Books. Again, started this series in January, reading 1 book every other month. I have just finished book 5. There are 10 books in this series, so again, I'm not going to have it finished this year, and that's fine. I will get it finished next year though. And then the 3rd book that I have started and continued this series is Deadly Education, or the Scholomance series by Naomi Novik. So this one I feel like needs a little asterisk by it, because in this vlog that I'm currently working on, I am planning on reading book 3 and finishing off this series, but I haven't read it yet. So I'm keeping it in as continued because I started it in September. I read Deadly Education in September. I read The Last Graduate in October, and I'm now looking forward to reading The Golden Enclaves, hopefully now in end of November, December. So we have then got, I'm then going to discuss the DNFs. So the DNFs are series which I started aware that there were more books in the series, intending to read other books in this series. After reading the first one, thought I am not going to continue this series. So we're going to start off with the Bone Season. So this was actually a reread for me. I had read the Bone Season a couple of years ago, never continued. I restarted the series, so I read The Pale Dreamer, and then I think I started reading the Bone Season and DNF'd, and I thought, you know what, I'm never going to read and continue this series. This is not one for me. So Bone Season, started, DNF'd. We've then got Well Met by Jen DeLuca. This is a romance. This is set at a Renaissance fair. I liked it. It was fine, but I'm never going to read more in this universe. It didn't hook me in enough for me to think, yep, I want to read the rest of these series. So it's a DNF, and it's not a negative DNF. It's not that I hated it. It's just I don't intend to read any more of it. We've got Descender, which is a graphic novel, and I don't remember who the author is. And again, I read it, I liked the graphic novel, it was fine, but it wasn't gripping enough for me to want to continue reading, so I DNF'd it. We've then got The Secret Service of Tea and Treason by India Holton. I really disliked this book, so I have no intention of reading anything else. And that's kind of similar to the next one, which is Daughter of the Moon Goddess by Su Lin Tan. I really disliked this book. I have no intention of reading anything else from it. Similarly, again, actually, we've then got Defy the Night by Bridget Kemmerer. I had read the Cursebreaker series, or Cursed Dark and Lonely, and they were okay. Like, I didn't particularly enjoy them. So Defy the Night was kind of my like last chance saloon with Bridget Kemmerer, and I just didn't really like it. I DNF'd it at about page 50. But I DNF'd it and sent my predictions on what I thought was going to happen in the book to my friends who'd read it, and they said I was spot on. So I was like, yeah, if I can have predicted the whole plot of the 450-page book by page 50, I was like, I can't read this series, so DNF'd that series. We've then got Discovery of Witches. So I read book 1 and 2, and again, this is for a vlog project. I liked book 1, book 2 was okay, but I kind of thought that actually I'm not interested enough to see what's going to happen next. I don't really care about these characters enough to want to know more about what they're doing and what their kind of like motivations are. So I decided I wasn't going to read book 3. which is a bit weird to like DNF right at the end of a series, but it ended and I was fine with where it ended. I didn't really need to see any more. I've then got another graphic novel series, which is Sheets by Brenna Thunberg, I think. This one I had quite high hopes for this one. I was expecting it to be like super cute, almost like Tea Dragon Society, and it just kind of was a little bit flat for me. I didn't love it, so I don't intend to read any more in the series. We've got Forsaken Commander by G.J. Ogden. I liked this book, and do you know what? If the rest of the books fell in my hands, I would read the rest of them. But I'm probably not going to go out of my way to source these books. They were fine, they were fun, I liked it. It was a perfectly good book, but I just don't really intend to read any more in that series. And then the final one that I've DNF'd is One Piece. I didn't like One Piece, so I do not intend to read more in that series, unfortunately. And then we've got actually no, it's the same size as the DNF. The books which I've started the series, but I haven't read any more than the first book in them. And there are a couple of like, again, little asterisks by these ones. So the first one is Guild by Raven Kennedy. I fully intend to continue this series. I just haven't, but I fully intend to. Same with Finley Donovan. I fully intend to read more of this series. I do want to give myself a break between books with the Finley Donovan ones, just purely because I don't want to. I hear that I hear some negative reviews as the series continues, so I don't want to kind of read them too quickly and be like, oh, not so good. I feel like if I give myself a break between reading these books, then they might feel better. But to be honest, I also haven't continued either Guild or Finley Donovan because I don't own book 2, so they're not on my shelf, so I'm not looking for them. We've then got Bridgerton by Julia Quinn. I read book 1, I liked it. And again, I haven't continued that series. Firstly, because I'm not the biggest historical romance reader. I do like a historical romance, but not all the time. And secondly, I don't own the series. I do now. I have just hauled the series in the very, very pretty Illumicrate editions, so I'm very excited to read this series, but I just haven't got around to them yet. I've then got a couple that I read on KU, and I do intend to continue. The first is the Salacious Players Club. I read Praise, really enjoyed it, intend to read more. And the next one is, I think it's called the Four Horsemen series by Penelope Douglas. I read Corrupt, loved it. Want to read more. But again, those two are both on KU. I kind of need to actively think about reading a book on my Kindle because it's not just there in front of me on my shelves. We've then got Jade City. Love this book. Definitely want to continue, and I do want to continue fairly soon as well before I forget what happened in Jade City, but I don't own books 2 or 3, so I haven't read them yet. We've then got Foul Lady Fortune by Chloe Gong. So the sequel, Foul Heart Huntsman, only came out in October, I believe, and I haven't read it yet. It did take me a good year to get to Foul Lady Fortune, but I hope that I can finish off that duology maybe next year. Next I've got Vicious by V. Schwab. Really enjoyed Vicious, absolutely loved it. Definitely want to continue that series. I don't own the sequel. It's kind of a running theme here. Then we've got Death Note. That's a manga that I really enjoyed. I do want to continue that one. I, again, don't own the sequels. And another manga is Flying Witch. I do own Flying Witch Volume 2, but again, I read both these mangas like last week, so I haven't continued yet, but I intend to. So, to conclude, of the 27 series that I have started this year, 10 of them are DNF'd and 4 of them are finished or up to date, which means that of those 27, 14 of those are no longer on my TBR. They are not series that I have anything else to read in. So there's only 13 series that I've actually started and have still got books waiting for me on, which isn't great, but also isn't that bad. Technically, I've kind of started and I've added 13 series to my series tracker, which, you know, isn't awful, I don't think. I do in 2024 have a plan where I'm going to be reading more series, and I'm going to be doing like a vlog challenge where I will be reading series, so hopefully I should be able to make progress in a few of these. I do remember I did say there were 2 books actually that I haven't mentioned that kind of have like little asterisks by them. They are Artemis Fowl and Once Upon a Broken Heart. Both of these are books that I restarted reading. So with Artemis Fowl, I have read some of the Artemis Fowl books. I don't remember which ones, and I don't think I've read in order. So I decided that I was going to restart the series. So I've read book 1. I know that is a reread, but I don't know which ones I've read. So I've kind of started a series, but I also had already started that series. Kind of makes sense, kind of doesn't. And same with Once Upon a Broken Heart. I had read books 1 and 2. In the last like month or so, I reread books 1 and 2 so that I could read book 3, which I am also hoping to read in this final books vlog that I'm working on this week. However, so again, I had already read them. I've made no progress. I have technically started another series, but I was already at that same point in that series, so it doesn't really, I've not added anything to my list. But they are the series that I have started, finished, continued and DNF'd in 2023. Let me know your thoughts. Have you read any of these series? Are any of them ones that you are planning to read? And yeah, let me know what you think of the series that I am reading. What ones should I be prioritising? If you like this video, please leave me a like, subscribe down below, and I will see you tomorrow. Bye!